When I look back at my life, especially the early years when I had nothing, no money, no confidence, no opportunities, it's funny how clearly I can see the real enemy. People think failure comes from lack of talent or lack of education. But I've met so many talented people who never became anything. I've met educated people who never built anything. And after years of watching people rise and fall, I finally understood something uncomfortable. Most people lose not because they are weak, but because they are too comfortable. Comfort is a quiet killer. It doesn't shout. It doesn't scare you. It simply convinces you that later is good enough, that easy is reasonable, that stable is wise. And before you know it, this soft, warm feeling becomes a prison. You don't even realize the door has closed until it's too late. If you want to destroy the 9 weak habits keeping you ordinary, you must first destroy this addiction to comfort. When I was younger, I failed so many times that people thought I was cursed. I remember applying to KFC with 24 people. 23 were accepted. I was the only one rejected. At that time, it hurt my pride. But what hurt even more was realizing my life was drifting. I woke up each morning hoping something comfortable would happen. Some opportunity would magically appear. But nothing came, and nothing would have come if I stayed in that state. People love easy things, easy tasks, easy routines, easy entertainment. But easy habits produce ordinary lives. Discipline produces transformation. I learned this lesson building Alibaba. In the beginning, everything was uncomfortable. We had no money, no technology, no credibility. People laughed at us. They said the internet in China would never grow. If I had waited for the perfect moment, Alibaba would not exist today. Success does not visit people who wait for ideal conditions. Success visits those who build momentum when nothing feels safe. Comfort whispers, stay here. This is enough. But every time you listen, your potential shrinks a little more. The truth is, comfort wants you average. It wants you predictable. It wants you ordinary. And ordinary is the enemy of extraordinary. For the next 30 days, you must treat comfort like poison. Wake up earlier than feels normal. Work when you feel tired. Say no to distractions. Push yourself into situations that force you to grow. Remember, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You cannot walk that bridge if you're lying down. I often tell young people, if you want easy now, your life will be hard forever. But if you accept hard now, your life will become easier later. Comfort will break your potential if you do not break it first. This is your first battle. This is the foundation of the next 30 days. Destroy this habit and you will feel your identity shift. Choose to stay comfortable and nothing in your life will ever change. If there is one habit I see destroying people quietly, almost politely, it is this one, the belief in tomorrow. I have watched thousands of young people over the years, all with dreams, all with ideas, all with plans, and yet only a handful ever become extraordinary. Why? Not because they lack ability, not because they lack intelligence, but because they keep telling themselves the most dangerous lie in human history, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is the softest enemy you will ever meet. It does not argue with you. It does not judge you. It simply whispers, not now, later. And you believe it because it feels harmless. But every time you choose tomorrow, you are postponing your evolution. You are delaying the version of yourself you claim you want to become. And delay, when repeated, becomes destiny. When I started Alibaba, we didn't have luxury. We didn't have time to wait. We were already behind. Every other company had money, technology, and connections. If we had told ourselves, let's prepare more, let's wait for the right moment, the company would have died before it began. Winners act while others plan to act one day. The world rewards urgency because urgency produces motion, and motion produces opportunity. This is why people say, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, but opportunity does not wait for anyone who moves slowly. I remember once talking to a group of university students. They told me their big dreams, their global ambitions, their bold plans. I listened. Then I asked one simple question. What did you do today to move toward that dream? Every one of them went silent. That's when I understood dreams are cheap, execution is rare. Extraordinary people don't talk about tomorrow. They take uncomfortable action today. Procrastination is emotional comfort disguised as strategy. You tell yourself you're thinking, planning, waiting for clarity, but you are really avoiding the discomfort of starting. You are protecting your ego from failure. But let me tell you a truth I learned the hard way. The world only remembers doers, not talkers. No one remembers the people who almost started. Every time you postpone a task, you are not delaying the work. You are delaying your growth. You are choosing to remain the same person with the same habits, the same weaknesses, the same results. You are choosing to stay ordinary. In the next 30 days, urgency must become your superpower. Wake up each day with the mindset that you have no time to waste. Send the email now. Start the project now. Learn the skill now. Discipline is nothing more than acting before your feelings are ready. Procrastination may feel soft, but it destroys your potential harder than fear ever could. Fear at least wakes you up. Procrastination lulls you to sleep. If you destroy this habit, you will feel a surge of power you didn't know you had. The power of immediacy, the power of momentum. The greatest trap in life is believing you have more time than you do. If you want to stop being ordinary, you must stop believing in tomorrow. When people look at successful entrepreneurs, they imagine we wake up every day feeling motivated, confident, inspired. They think discipline is easier for us, that we somehow have stronger emotions or more positive energy. But the truth is completely different. If you want to destroy the weak habits that make life ordinary, you must first understand this uncomfortable reality. Your emotions don't care about your future. Your discipline does. Most people stay average because their emotions own them. They work only when they feel inspired. They try only when they feel confident. They move only when conditions feel perfect. But life does not reward emotional comfort. Life rewards those who act even when their feelings scream, stop. And this is one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. When I was building Alibaba, there were many days I wanted to quit. Days I felt humiliated, tired, and confused. Investors laughed at me. Competitors mocked us. The media said we were a joke. I remember sitting in the small apartment that served as our office, feeling completely defeated. My emotions told me to give up. My emotions told me I was not smart enough, not capable enough, not strong enough. But discipline whispered something different. Discipline said, show up again, try again, one more step. And that one extra step made all the difference. Ordinary people let their feelings decide their behavior. Extraordinary people let their goals decide their behavior. This is why I often say, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without that bridge, emotions will flood your life and wash away every dream you have. Think about it. How many times have you failed? Not because the goal was impossible, but because you didn't feel like trying. How many opportunities have passed you because you were tired, angry, or unmotivated? This is what I call emotional fragility. The habit of letting temporary feelings make permanent decisions. I learned early that my emotions could not be trusted with my destiny. Emotions change every hour. They are unstable, reactive, unreliable. If you let them control your productivity, your future becomes unstable, reactive, unreliable as well. Extraordinary people understand this truth deeply. They work when they're tired. They train when they're stressed. They push even when no one is watching. They don't wait to feel ready. They act and the feeling follows later. This is how strength is built. This is how momentum is created. This is how weakness dies. When you remove emotional fragility, you remove 80% of your obstacles. Suddenly, your excuses disappear. Your delays disappear. Your inconsistency disappears. You start to realize that success was never about being talented. It was about being steady. The next 30 days will test this habit more than any other. You will wake up some days without motivation. You will feel frustrated, lazy, even discouraged. Good. That is where transformation begins. Each time you act against your emotions, you become stronger than you were the day before. If you want to escape an ordinary life, you must crush the habit of obeying your feelings. Feelings come and go. Discipline builds you into someone unstoppable. One of the most destructive habits I see in people, especially young people, is the craving for approval. It is invisible, but it controls everything. If you truly want to destroy the weak habits that keep you ordinary, you must confront a truth. I learned the painful way: if you depend on validation, you will never lead your own life. You will always wait for someone else to choose you. When I was younger, I desperately wanted people to believe in me. I wanted my ideas to be praised. I wanted my decisions to be accepted. Every time someone doubted me, it crushed my spirit. Every time someone criticized me, I felt smaller. I didn't realize then that this hunger for approval was silently shrinking my potential. I remember when I first started speaking publicly about the internet in China. People laughed. They said I was dreaming. They said I was naive. The newspapers mocked me. My friends questioned me, and for a long time I tried to prove them wrong. I tried to win their approval. I wasted energy trying to convince people who had no intention of believing in me. It kept me small. It kept me slow. It kept me ordinary. One day, I finally understood something simple but life-changing. Greatness is built in silence, not applause. When you chase approval, you lose yourself. When you stop chasing it, you find your power. Validation addiction makes you weak because it forces your decisions to depend on other people's opinions. You hesitate, you overthink, you wait for permission. You avoid taking risks because you're afraid of being judged. But here is the truth people rarely accept. Strong people move without being chosen. Weak people wait to be picked. The world respects results, not approval ratings. No one clapped for me when I was rejected from 30 jobs. No one celebrated me when I failed the college entrance exam twice. No one believed in Alibaba when we first started. If I needed applause to keep going, I would have quit before we even built our first web page. Confidence is not built from praise. Confidence is built from progress, from action, from resilience, and from the willingness to look foolish today so you can look brilliant tomorrow. When you stop needing validation, everything about your life accelerates. You make decisions faster. You take risks you avoided before. You stop asking for permission to be the person you want to become. People begin to respect you not because you asked for it, but because you created it. The next 30 days will challenge you to stand on your own identity. Say no without guilt. Move without asking for approval. Pursue the path that feels right, even when no one supports you. This is how confidence becomes unshakable. This is how ordinary people rise. You cannot live an extraordinary life while being chained to other people's opinions. Break this habit, and you break free. If there is a silent force that keeps ordinary people exactly where they are, it is the people around them. I have learned this the hard way. Your circle determines your ceiling. Surround yourself with negativity, excuses, and low ambition, and you will be dragged down into mediocrity without even realizing it. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they tolerate the wrong people. When I first started Alibaba, I had friends who laughed at my ideas. They told me the internet in China would never work. They told me I was too naive to succeed. At the time, I still tried to explain myself, to convince them. But I noticed something. The more I tried to get their support, the smaller I felt. Their doubts were contagious. Their fear became my fear. And every day I lingered in their influence, my potential shrank just a little more. Toxic relationships are dangerous because they feel normal. They seem loyal, familiar, even comforting. But deep down, they quietly normalize excuses. They teach you to complain instead of create. They make ordinary seem acceptable. And if you don't destroy this habit, if you continue tolerating people who do not elevate you, you will become the product of their limitations. I remember a time when Alibaba was almost bankrupt. The pressure was enormous. My friends told me to give up. It's impossible, they said. You are risking everything for nothing. But I had learned a lesson from failure. Success comes from editing your environment aggressively. I had to distance myself from the voices that did not inspire action. I had to focus on those who believed in the mission, even if they were few. That decision to change my circle was as powerful as any business strategy I implemented. Winners understand that distance can be a strategy. The people who drain your ambition, who normalize mediocrity, who plant doubt in your mind, they are not your responsibility. They are obstacles. And in the next 30 days, you must start removing them from your life. Sometimes it is literal, cutting off relationships. Sometimes it is mental, ignoring their opinions. But every inch you create between yourself and toxicity, you create space for growth, for discipline, for ambition. Average people tolerate complaints, excuses, and fear. Extraordinary people do not. Extraordinary people edit ruthlessly. If you want to escape being ordinary, you must treat your relationships like a garden. Weed out the dead plants. Water the strong ones. Create an environment that forces you to grow, not one that allows you to wither. Remember this, your success will never exceed the collective limits of your circle. If you continue to tolerate low-quality environments, your life will reflect them. But if you take control, distance becomes your most powerful tool. In this next 30-day battle, your social environment is as much a front line as your own habits. If I had $1 for every time I heard someone explain why they couldn't succeed, I would have been richer than Alibaba before it even started. Excuses are the quiet killers of potential. They feel safe, they feel justified, they make you look reasonable while quietly chaining you to mediocrity. If you want to destroy the weak habits that make life ordinary, the first thing you must destroy is your reflex to explain away failure. When I was young, I was terrible at selling myself. I was rejected from countless jobs, told I was too weak, too inexperienced, too naive. And like many people, my instinct was to justify my failures. The interviewer didn't understand me. The company was unfair. It wasn't the right time. Every excuse felt like a shield, protecting my ego from reality. But what I didn't realize then was that every excuse was also a chain, keeping me small. Excuses are comforting lies. They protect your pride, but destroy your future. Ordinary people explain, rationalize, and justify. Extraordinary people examine. They take the hard look in the mirror. They ask, what did I control? What can I do differently? How can I improve? And only then do they act. Weakness dies when accountability begins. Excuses are the opposite of accountability. They are a declaration that you are a victim of life, not a master of it. I remember a time in Alibaba's early days. We were struggling to get suppliers to trust us, to get investors to believe in our vision. Every time a deal failed, I could have blamed the system, the people, the market. Many of my peers would have stopped, pointing fingers. But I forced myself to take responsibility. I asked, what did I do wrong? How can I learn? What action can I take right now? That habit of refusing excuses became one of the most powerful forces in my life. Every failure became a lesson. Every setback became momentum. The excuse reflex is subtle. It doesn't feel wrong. You think you are being rational, cautious, or reasonable. But what you are really doing is choosing comfort over growth. Each excuse weakens your character and dulls your ambition. And when left unchecked, it accumulates into a life that feels safe but ordinary. Extraordinary people understand this. You cannot explain your way to success. You can only act. Every time you eliminate excuses, you become harder to defeat. Your confidence grows, your decisions sharpen, your potential expands, and life starts to bend in your favor, not because of luck, but because of relentless accountability. In the next 30 days, train yourself to notice excuses the moment they arise. Call them out. Replace them with action. Stop telling yourself why you cannot. Start asking yourself how you will. This is the habit that separates ordinary from extraordinary. Weakness hides behind explanations. Strength stands in the light and acts. Everyone knows the story of Thomas Edison and the light bulb. He failed over 1,000 times before he succeeded. People call it inspirational, cliche even. But there is a lesson in that story that most people miss. a lesson that perfectly proves why destroying weak habits is the only path out of ordinary. Edison did not fail because he lacked talent. He did not fail because he lacked resources. He failed over and over because the world was hard and he conquered it, not because he was lucky, but because he refused the habit of quitting. When I think about my own failures, I see the same pattern. I was rejected from dozens of jobs. People laughed at my ideas for Alibaba. Investors said it was impossible. There were moments I wanted to give up, to stop fighting, to accept mediocrity. Most people would have quit after the first, second, or even the 10th failure. Edison would not have been famous if he had stopped at failure number 50. And I would not be here telling you this if I had quit at my first major setback. Here is the truth about ordinary people. They quit when things feel uncomfortable. They quit when progress is slow, when critics are loud, when failure stings. Weakness thrives in these moments. But extraordinary people, people who change the world, quit only when they have won. They act with relentless persistence, turning every no into fuel, every failure into data, every obstacle into opportunity. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is not a clever line. That is discipline disguised as persistence. He destroyed the weak habit of giving up day after day, experiment after experiment. And that habit alone made him immortal in history, while thousands of equally smart inventors faded into obscurity. When you look at your life, consider this. How many potential successes have you abandoned simply because the process was uncomfortable? How many ideas, projects, or opportunities did you abandon the moment failure showed up? The reason ordinary people stay ordinary is because they have developed the habit of quitting early. They have accepted the first failure as a verdict rather than a lesson. The next 30 days will test your persistence. Every weak habit you have, procrastination, comfort, excuses, will tempt you to quit. But remember Edison. Remember that the world only remembers the relentless, not the nearly there. Persistence destroys weakness. Every time you resist quitting, you are rewiring your identity. You are proving to yourself that you will not be ordinary. Do not underestimate this lesson. It is simple, but devastatingly powerful. Quit early and you disappear. Persist and you become unforgettable. The habit of persistence, cultivated daily, is one of the most effective weapons against weakness. If you destroy the habit of quitting too soon, no one and nothing can stop your rise. One of the most dangerous weak habits I see is hidden in plain sight. People cling to the version of themselves that no longer serves them. Most of us carry identities built from past failures, old fears, and outdated beliefs. We act like the same person we were 10 years ago, even though our life and environment have changed. If you want to destroy the weak habits that keep you ordinary, you must first destroy the weak identity that created them. Your identity determines your habits. Your habits determine your life. When I started Alibaba, I was rejected, humiliated, and underestimated repeatedly. People told me I was too small-minded, too inexperienced, too ordinary to succeed. And for a long time, I internalized that identity. I saw myself as someone who couldn't get a job, someone who wasn't good enough, someone who needed permission from others to move forward. That identity shaped my habits. I procrastinated. I feared risk. I waited for approval. My life became a mirror of that weak identity. Then I realized something uncomfortable. If I wanted to change my life, I had to change who I believed I was. Identity is not fixed. It can be reinvented. It must be reinvented every day. The moment I started acting like the person who could build a global company, making decisions with courage, taking responsibility without fear, ignoring critics, I started producing habits that matched that identity. My habits became stronger. My vision became clearer. My results began to reflect the person I chose to become, not the person I used to be. Most people fail because they try to change habits without changing the underlying self-image. They think, if I just work harder, I will succeed. But the truth is, effort without identity is temporary. You might push for a week or a month, but eventually you will revert. Ordinary people act like they are upgrading their life while their self-image is still ordinary. Weak identity produces weak results. The next 30 days is your opportunity to rebuild yourself from the inside out. Destroy the weak identity that obeys comfort, procrastination, excuses, and the need for approval. Visualize the person you want to be. Relentless, disciplined, persistent, unshakable, and start acting like them now. Reinvention is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice. Every decision, every action, every response to challenge is an opportunity to reinforce the new self-image. Remember, the world does not respond to your potential. It responds to who you are now. If you remain trapped in an outdated identity, your habits will betray you. But if you rise into a stronger self, your habits will follow naturally. Destroy the weak identity, and the weak habits die with it. You cannot create an extraordinary life without first becoming an extraordinary version of yourself. If you want to escape being ordinary, the next 30 days are the most important battle you will ever fight. I do not say this lightly. Life does not wait, and weakness does not pause. Every weak habit you have, comfort, procrastination, excuses, validation-seeking, toxic relationships, is trained to resist change. And if you approach this month casually, you will lose. This is not a test of talent or intelligence. It is a test of courage, discipline, and ruthless consistency. When I started Alibaba, there were days I had no money, no investors, and no credibility. Every step felt impossible. I could have waited for a better moment, a safer opportunity, a perfect plan, but I did not. I treated every day like a war against weakness itself. I attacked each problem immediately, embraced discomfort, and refused to negotiate with fear or doubt. That is the mindset you need for the next 30 days. This is your personal war against every habit that keeps you ordinary. Every time you feel lazy, act. Every time you feel afraid, act. Every time you crave approval, act. The weak habits in your life have been practicing for years. They know your patterns, your excuses, your vulnerabilities. Now it is time to practice against them, and practice ruthlessly. Do not underestimate how fast life can change. Most people think transformation takes months, even years. But the truth is, 30 days of focused, relentless discipline can destroy more weakness than years of half-hearted effort. The difference is intensity. The difference is commitment. The difference is refusing to allow comfort, excuses, or fear to win for even one day. I remember one night in our early Alibaba office. The city was asleep. I was tired, hungry, frustrated. Everything inside me screamed to stop, but I could not. I forced myself to keep working, to keep calling suppliers, to keep pitching investors. That night, I realized something crucial. Change does not require ability. It requires courage. Ordinary people wait until they feel ready. Extraordinary people act even when they feel broken. The next 30 days, treat every morning as a launch, every afternoon as a battle, every night as a reflection. Track every weak habit and confront it immediately. Destroy procrastination by doing first what you fear most. Destroy comfort by doing what is hard. Destroy excuses by taking full responsibility. Destroy validation addiction by acting without permission. Edit your circle, reinforce your identity, and never ever quit. If you commit fully to this 30-day war, you will feel a shift in your identity, your energy, and your results. Weakness will shrink. Confidence will grow. Ordinary patterns will break. And when the month ends, you will see clearly. Your life is no longer the life of someone waiting to be chosen. It is the life of someone who refuses to be ordinary. At the end of the day, greatness is not given. It is not accidental. It is a choice most people refuse to make. I have watched so many talented, intelligent, and capable people spend their lives waiting for permission, waiting for the right moment, waiting for someone else to decide they are ready. And while they wait, life passes them by. If you have followed this journey so far, you now understand the uncomfortable truth. Destroying weak habits is not optional. It is the difference between rising and remaining ordinary. When I was starting Alibaba, every day was a decision. Every rejection, every failure, every skeptical look was a fork in the road. I could have chosen comfort, procrastination, excuses, and approval seeking. I could have remained the person I was, a small, cautious, ordinary man, but I chose differently. I chose to destroy the habits that would have held me back. I chose to fight when others waited. I chose discipline when others relied on emotion. I chose identity over circumstance. That choice changed everything. The reality is simple. Ordinary people wait for life to hand them success. Extraordinary people create it. They do not allow weak habits to dictate their future. They do not bow to fear, to delay, to comfort, to the opinions of others. They understand that greatness is built on action, repetition, and relentless refusal to accept mediocrity. Every habit you destroy, every action you take is a vote for the life you want to live. You now have the map. You have the 9 weak habits that keep people ordinary and the strategies to destroy them. You have 30 days to wage a personal war against weakness itself. The question now is simple. Will you rise or will you remain ordinary? Will you act even when it is uncomfortable, even when you feel afraid, even when no one is watching? Or will you wait, delay, excuse, and shrink back into the familiar shadows of mediocrity? Greatness does not wait. Luck does not visit those who hesitate. History only remembers the doers, not the dreamers. This is why destroying weak habits is not a game. It is not advice. It is survival. Every day you delay, every habit you tolerate, every compromise you make is a step closer to ordinary. But every decision to act, every refusal to quit, every choice to rise is a step toward the extraordinary. The next 30 days will define you, not just your skills, not just your knowledge, but who you truly are. If you choose courage over comfort, discipline over emotion, action over excuses, the ordinary version of yourself dies. And in its place, a stronger, unstoppable, extraordinary version emerges. That version does not wait for approval, does not tolerate weakness, and does not accept ordinary. That version conquers. That version rises. The choice is yours. Rise or remain ordinary. No one will do it for you. No one can give it to you. Your life, your habits, your identity, your future, they are in your hands. The question is, what will you do? The time to rise is now. The 30 days begin today.